Vietnam's academic system is similar to that of Taiwan. After years of reform, the Vietnamese government is committed to promoting primary education, with youth literacy rate rising to 97% and adult literacy rate at 94%. However, the real situation reveals a gap between the urban and rural education. Here's our report.
I went to Ho Chi Minh City to study 5 years ago, but I didn't invite my mom come to see me because my living environment was quite poor.
His graduation photo is hung in an important part of his house. This 20-something Chinese person graduated from the university 2 years ago and is the only son of his family. He currently works in a foreign bank, and with overtime, he can earn about $300 a month, which is considered a good income. Daya's home is located in the remote Sok Trang province. He lives in the first-floor dwelling with almost no furniture. His greatest wish is to make enough money for his mother to renovate their house.
I study at a state university, which charge a lot, which together with the rent for the house cost me about $180 a month.
Rent plus tuition fees led him to spend more than $300 a month, but this is about half of his parents' monthly income, as Vietnamese parents typically have high hopes for their only son. Vietnam has long been influenced by Chinese Confucian culture. This means that the majority of Vietnamese parents believe that knowledge can change a person's fate.
They are very willing to invest in students. From kindergarten, they start this investment. While there are different courses, English is still essential.
Speaking fluent English is something that comes easily to these third-grade Vietnamese students. And next door in this classroom, there are children less than 6 years old. Parents are rushing to send them to classes to learn English in the hopes that these children will get a head start on life. Due to declining birth rates in Taiwan, Mr. Chen 10 years ago decided to invest in the education market in Vietnam. He developed a chain of English cram schools and now operates some 50 classes. Typically 12 hours per month of English costs about $60, which is about 1/3 of the average office worker's salary.
So cool. Thank you very much.
Now in Hanoi, the minimum wage is about $150, and many are willing to spend $60 on 12 hours of cram school each month.
Vietnam's education system is divided into 5 stages. From the age of 6 to middle school, there's 9 years of basic compulsory education. But because there are more students and less resources, these students typically face more pressure to advance in their studies than Taiwan students.
Many people want to go to the top school in the first district to take an exam, so simply put, the admission rate is quite low here, about 3%.
In recent years, with the rise of the middle class after 1997, Vietnam encouraged private schools to enter the market, with many parents willing to spend a lot of money so that their children can go to schools funded with foreign investment. This school is funded by a Taiwan businessman who built secondary schools in Vietnam, hoping to attract the elite with tuition each semester between $2,000 to $3,000, but so far, admission rate is 30%.
Vietnam's education policy became more open as we hope to lead students to face the challenges of the 21st century.
Chen Wei Hong, who is a retired principal of Taipei Municipal Jianguo High School, has been invited here and hopes to bring Taiwan's educational philosophy to Vietnam. However, he worries that Taiwan's education lacks long-term planning.
The quality of our teaching is something that Taiwan is very proud of. However, the world is changing very fast. And when you go too slow, people will surpass you as your progress is too slow.
According to UNESCO, Vietnam spent 19.8% of government expenditures on education in 2010, which is much higher than the average of 13.7% of other East Asian countries. In 20 years, youth literacy increased to 97%, and 70% graduate from high school, with 30% graduate from university. In 2016, a global English proficiency survey saw Vietnam top Taiwan, and from 2002 to 2012, the number of Vietnamese studying abroad has grown nearly 5 times, with Taiwan being the 7th largest country for overseas Vietnamese students.
这是教育部专案
This is subsidized by the Ministry of Education, the first international Mandarin testing facility.
In response to the increased demand for Mandarin language studies, the Ministry of Education began implementing a cooperation training program in 2007, sending Mandarin teachers to Vietnam. 32-year-old Chinese teacher Huang Yunling is a professor teaching conversation at the Department of Humanities and Eastern Social Sciences at Hanoi University. She deeply feels the ambition of Vietnamese people to study.
Originally, there were a dozen Chinese teachers, but this year it increased to 34. And I heard next year there will be more. Students here are learning so fast, it's becoming a big market.
Global Chinese learning is a boom not only in Vietnam but elsewhere, creating many job opportunities.
I think it will help my future work because I want to work with Chinese people to do business.
Most of the time they want to study this because it will help them find a job. This will definitely be a big help as there are a lot of Taiwanese businesses.
Vietnam has 5,400 Taiwanese businessmen. To attract Vietnamese students to study Chinese, the Vietnamese government will implement a foreign language project in 2020. In 2016, it announced that Japanese should be promoted to equal status with English as a top-tier foreign language. This year, it was announced that Mandarin and Russian will also become a required language for Vietnamese students. With Vietnam's economic progress, education is also progressing, as many now know that language studies will help them find work for foreign companies operating in the country.